grew up in Akron, so I would see the empty streets of this post-rubber industrial town that was really vacated after all of the big manufacturers left. So I really can't draw a straight line between my upbringing and where I'm at now, because I've sort of done a little bit of everything. I began to take photos when I was young. When I was 14 or 15, I got my first camera, and I would go around and I would make horrible photographs of the fountains in town. And then I just kept working and shooting, and I realized it was the only thing that I really enjoyed. I took a couple of photography classes in high school, and pretty much every day that was the only reason I went to school, was so I could be in the dark room and make my prints of these horrible images of water fountains and the things around town. And then I just ended up shooting more and more as time progressed. And then in undergraduate, that's what I gravitated towards, and I stayed with that. I initially started with photography, and I decided I would stay with photography for quite some time in terms of modification and removal. And I felt that I needed to get a handle on that before I went to video. But I found that I can approach video as I do every other photograph, which is to tear it apart into 24 or 30 frames in a second, and then approach each frame as an individual photograph. And then the complication becomes matching things that have moved and making sure that they don't jump. But really, it's the same process between the two mediums. With the earlier works, I did try and choose more recognizable imagery because I felt like that's what I needed to sort of ground the work. For the past 2 years, I've gone with the less recognizable imagery in exactly that, hoping that people come up with their own narratives or create their own memories from these images. Now I'm not looking for the most recognizable image. I'm looking for the most interesting event or content or context. And then I'm working into the image. I'm looking for frames before, I'm looking for frames after to see what should be where I want to remove something from. And if those frames don't exist, then it's scavenging from the original. Like with Untitled 65, the cartwheel image, which is an above scene, we're looking down on the beach. It was a matter of taking water from other areas in that image and rotating it and replacing it and changing the tonal range on it so it would match from where it came to where it's going and be something that you can't detect. I feel that all the videos are a little bit different because they present very different problems. And then I have to really devise a solution for each one and figure out what's going to happen, especially when there's a cut in the video from one shot to the next, or even a long steady shot is very difficult to deal with. But again, it's just like the photograph. It's looking at the frames before and the frames after and figuring out what's there and what I can take and what I can reuse and what has to be created from nothing, which is a lot, it seems, after doing this for so many years. The King Kong piece is very different because it's the first time that I've gotten back behind a camera in probably 7 or 8 years to do any type of work. But I found it also very rewarding because I had control over what was going to appear in the final. Whereas with the other work, that's all on somebody else, and I take from their creation and begin to make it my own. Technically speaking, with that piece, all of the original imagery is there, all of the original trees and the tonality that you can find in the leaves and the textures, and I took that and laid it over my footage, so I could begin to blend it and make my footage blend seamlessly into this one. But with everything, like this, with everything, I make it my own in some way. So, I didn't have it flicker. The grain is much less than in the original. The sound is very different because the original is mono and this is surround sound. And of course, King Kong is nowhere in it. And the video works, and really most of the photos are now becoming more about anticipation and creating this anticipatory state, which the viewer can enter into and exist for a while. You begin to look at the older work, and then you see things that you would change or you would do differently, or you realized what you know now that you didn't know then. And that's my biggest realization, is to see how far technically I've come from things that are 6 seconds long that used to take me 9 to 12 months. Now in 9 to 12 months I can do 14, 15, 20 minute long pieces. So that's the biggest realization I have.